Oh, hi. Day two was really hectic and fatigue set in a little bit. Had a little bit of fatigue on the ear because of wearing the earphone and the headphone. And then in the middle of the night, got bitten by some, I don't know what is it. It got three buttons here. Okay, so I guess the insects are also running out of the jungle. I don't know why. My place is quite near to the nature reserve. I guess too many people visit the nature reserve, disturb the insects, and all of them is flying out. Perhaps I'm not sure. Okay, so our nature reserve is experiencing more visitors, right? Okay. Um, I think I heard from the the news that maybe there should be some limit and some restriction to visiting parks. And apparently NParks have sent out many people to ensure that there is a social distance between the park's user. And I thought, I should stay at home for at least a week to understand this whole idea of staying at home, um, making my own food, cooking myself, and all the way that life could be normal even I'm staying at home. Um, I would compare it to be like, well, much less in a prison, where you can still walk around in a bigger space and you still got fire, you still can cook your own food, you still can talk to anyone at any time. So yeah, but by and large, fixed to a space other than buying food. Yeah, so let's try do that for a week and see how it feels, how it goes. Anyway, this morning and yesterday's morning, I did exercise. And this morning, which is day three, I already felt a bit of pain on my back. I'm not sure it's because of the exercise or the way that I sit, doing my own work. Because sometimes I sit at the sofa, looking at things and solving problems. Because you don't need to be at the desk if you're just giving out advice, right? So yeah. So sometimes I shift my camera around, not exactly at the table. So yep. And yeah, I did a couple of tests with friends who teach yoga. So what he did was quite ingenious. He fixed up his mic, which he used for karaoke, and then he set up a speaker that he could speak, and then the speaker is put near the handphone, so it's very loud and clear when it blasts into the handphone. And he could look at the handphone, but of course he can't hear very well because his handphone is quite a distance away. So here's a bit of problem. So he set up a Bluetooth headphone, right? And then he has a mic beside him, which actually blasts into the handphone. So I could hear him very clearly, except that I'm using my iPad, so the image is about that size. I was thinking that if I cast it on the TV, that would be better, right? But then again, there's another set of problems casting it. When you cast to the TV, um, the speech itself, you know, the wire has to find a way into the into the TV that could actually take the voice. I think either that or there must be another way to get the voice in and then cast out. Yeah, that part I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe there's a bit of technical problem somewhere. So there's a lot of technical things need to be solved when each day we are faced with certain things and we tend to think that how can I improve it better and better, the feedback better and better. Yeah, so there is something to learn and something to configure the system. But again, if you're short of anything, you got to order online. It takes another 2 weeks, so you got to really read carefully and make sure that you bought the correct thing. Because why? You bought the wrong one, it's okay, but you take another 2 weeks to come, right? So that adds up to about 1 month or so before you can solve your problem. I guess some people who are staying in a bigger country where they are in the farms, right? Each time they go to town, it takes also sometimes, the post also takes sometimes to come. So it's common for them, but for a city dweller like me, Well, everything is within range with at 200 meters. So that's the kind of compactness that we have over in Singapore. I work less than 200 meters, I get food, you know. I have a mall near here, so you get everything in the mall. So that's fantastic. Okay, so I've used a small little notebook to make some notes. So let me see. Yeah. The other problem we have is that you know in a family of threes, each of us have a different space, right? So sometimes when we walk by, we walk past, um, people tend to say, eh, but then again, it's your own home. Now you have shifted the office to your home, and suddenly you could not be free within your own home. That sounds a little bit, I don't know, ridiculous to a certain extent. Can you imagine your boss said, "Hey, you see somebody behind, is disturbing me. Can you stop him from walking around? Can you stop him from walking around?" But then, when you think again, it's your own home, and the guy who walk around maybe is your wife, right? So you're gonna tell your wife that, hey, my boss is talking to me, can you please don't walk around? You just stay put. So you get a bit of antagonism there. Yeah. So I think bosses got to wake up to it, that don't think that you can control my house. Ah, it's not in your office. But doesn't mean that you work from 9 to 5 all the time that you can't do any you can't even do anything in your own home. That's your own space. That's also your son's space. So I think bosses have to learn how to accept that people are moving here and there. There's a little bit noise here and there, and don't get irritated. Because why? Because you are not in your own office. It's not your space. It belongs to the family, right? So some bosses is okay. Like the office I'm consulting to is okay. We look at the baby. Hey, is that your baby? Yeah, yeah. Then they start tickling the baby, and then when they tickle for half an hour, you're like, okay, you're supposed to be working. You're tickling your baby half an hour, and we're watching you tickling your baby. I just got to stop that, man, because that you shouldn't do. Yeah. But walking around making a bit of noise like, hey, honey, would you like a glass of water? Of course, sure. Give me a glass of water, right? Why not? Right? Because it's your own home, right? So I think bosses got to adjust a little bit to understand that it's not his office. Don't tell me how to walk. Don't tell my husband what to do because he don't belongs to you, right? Something like that. Or don't tell my wife what to do because it doesn't belongs to my office. Right? So so there's something to learn. Yeah. So if you are working from home, of course, your whoever working with you got to understand that there are other members in the family. And especially when you have kids, how are you going to control the kids? She need help, she will cry, right? And you are supposed to be staying with your family, so bosses have to understand that if your reception or whoever it is, or your workers or your co-workers have to attend to babies, give them time to attend to the baby. Yeah. Don't be like, hey, you gotta work, man. I don't pay you to look after your baby. Of course not. Yeah, but this is a different period. So you gotta understand that. I mean, there are also offices where people bring their babies to work, to make it family. Like one of my friends, you can bring your babies and chuck it there while you're working. You can bring your mothers to the office while you are working. But that is a modern office. So, well, that office I would like to be there. I bring my mother, I bring my daughter, I bring my cats to the office. Why not? Then they can watch me do works while they watch TV, right? Yeah, they have a huge TV. I'm not joking. Well, I can show you some slide if you want to. You can PM me privately to see the modern office. Yeah. Now, let me see what else I wrote. Okay. Uh, yeah, cooking. Yeah, we gotta buy. We gotta cook. Yeah, something about doing exercise barefooted at home. I got a bit of blister now because I jerk so much. I did the walking for like 20 minutes. Well, one of these days I can play for you while I was walking and jerking my shoulders and twisting my hips. And then soon I realized that I get blister and saw on my big toe and the small little toe, and they start tearing. So maybe you have to wear shoes, when you're doing walking, which we usually do in the parks, wearing shoes. So that's one thing I learned about doing exercises in at home. Yeah. And look at it this way. Now, once you go to the home, perhaps you need to set up like a rooster, because if I talk very loud and she has to talk very loud and interfere, then what happen? You got to set up a meeting where you got to set up like, okay, tomorrow afternoon 2:30 to 4 o'clock, I'm going to have a meeting. Self-declare first, you know, so that the other party knows that you are going to have a meeting. She or he can schedule the meeting at another time. Yeah. So so it's like if you are in the office, the whole office will also have a conference room, right? So you got to schedule meeting, right? It's the same thing. So at home you need to schedule. You need to schedule who use what. Yeah. If you are limited by resources or space, of course you got your own room, then that's another thing, but not everyone has that luxury to have such a big space. So there must be some scheduling of waking up, sleeping time, almost regimental in a way, because, well, it has to be regimental, because if you look, you can't get out of your house already. Don't you need a routine? You need a routine to keep fit. You need a routine to coordinate the usage of space, you know, and reduce the noise pollution, in the house, right? So some kind of rooster, some kind of organizing work has to go on in the house, just like a country, a house is a family unit is also like a country. You need to organize them. When three of us are always in, you need to tell them what to do. Bandwidth is the worst, bandwidth, right? So who is doing what at what time? You have to find a way to reduce the bandwidth. For example, locking off the video, right? Just use the sound, right? And that you save something. So you could do a couple of tests. Otherwise you will have jerkiness or drops, and your meeting is not going to go as smooth as you are. Yeah. And worse, if your meeting had like 10%, nobody's going to wait for you to sort out your technical problem when you're in between meetings. Unless you're the most important person, you are chairing a meeting, then that is different, right? So organizing it, understanding the network is something to learn. Yeah. um Let me see what else I have here. Um, all right, maybe that's about it. Other than that is to learn something new every day. For example, today I mean this morning I started another session using Zoom, so there's a lot of things to exchange with my colleagues, how this thing is being done and how that is being done, because some people like Team, some people like Zoom. But in order to get everybody together, it depends on who is the host. If the host is using Zoom, you have to use Zoom. If the host is using Team, then you have no choice. You got to use Team, right? So that is the case. Yeah. Now, I think maybe I'll stop here. So see you on tomorrow, maybe if I have time, right? And some homework to do. Okay. Cheers. Keep healthy, keep exercising, and set up a routine. Bye.